Your attention, everyone. If you want to come up all the way to the front, our speaker will start in just a few moments. Make your way all the way to the front if you can. Thank you.
I seen your wings when they're working, when they're open, when they take you out, what they bring back home. And I seen this place when it's full of all the light that comes.
How's everyone doing out there? Everybody's falling asleep. I feel like everybody did all the heavy lifting earlier in the day, right? So this will be easy. It's going to be story time with me. I'm Robert Oswald, president and founder of Roswell Marine. We build towers, accessories, bimini tops, and premium marine audio for the marine market. We're going to kick off. I'd like to thank Noctique for letting us be a part of this. And I got to tell everybody here that I love being at dealer meetings. For me, it feels like a family reunion after over 20 years. The only difference is I like everybody here. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I'm going to share some of the Roswell story with you guys today. Along the way, I'm going to touch on culture and how we approach culture at Roswell. I'm going to touch really quickly on core values, and that's the topic, that's the buzzword today. Hit on marketing and then wrap it up. Okay, so the Roswell story started about 25 years ago when a friend of mine and myself, we went out to Vancouver, British Columbia and bought our first boat. Now that first boat was a 16-foot Cobra with a 90 Johnson in the back, and I made him pull me around on the water every single day, every single afternoon. Fell in love with being on top of the water. It didn't take long for us to discover that what we needed was an extended pylon on that boat so we could jump higher, do some tricks, and get some air. The only issue we had at that time is that we couldn't source or buy pylons in Canada. They weren't available yet. This is 1997, 1998. So we decided to try and design and fabricate our own. Now, if you've been up north, you're from anywhere up north out there, Minneapolis, Alberta, Chicago, Wisconsin, you know that the summertime is the most amazing time of the year, and you look forward to being on the water as much as possible. So here was our boat. The Red Rocket, I called it. Can you imagine a 16-foot Cobra? We put concrete in the hull. No, I mean we poured concrete in the hull. Not resailable. Almost sinkable. Built a pylon for it, but we got on the water one way or another. And as we were on the water using this boat, people started asking me if we could fabricate a pylon for them and using their direct drives. Thought, you know what, maybe this could be a way to start another business and make a little extra money. So I designed an idea for a new pylon with some technology in it. The idea being we put some compression system inside the pylon, help kids get out of the water when you were teaching them how to wakeboard. Maybe it'd take a little rip out of the shoulder if you landed off axis with steel cable lines. So I marched down to the bank, if you can imagine. Here we are thinking about it, circa 1998. Oh, forgot to mention, I was about 20 years old that summer. 20 years old. And I bought my first house at 19. I was a fourth-year electrician at the time, and I'd had two businesses at nighttime trying to raise enough capital to patent my first invention, which was a kitchen appliance. So, quite a unique story. Here I am thinking about how to start that business. So I went down to the bank with this idea to build these extended pylons for wakeboard boats. And the bank informed me immediately that they didn't give out business loans for guys like me. I said, what are you talking about? This is going to be a huge industry one day. Can you imagine? Everybody needs a pylon in their boat. You know, how can you resist? The banker laughed me out of the office and sent me packing. So I came back the next day and I said, you know what? A different bank, by the way. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do renovations on my little house. And they said, how much money do you want? I said, as much as you'll give me. $75,000, done. Let's go to work. So here's what I found out right away. That $75,000 didn't go very far. I could barely patent, I got paid some legal fees, I got a patent issued. I built a couple prototypes. The accountants and lawyers stuck their hands in my pocket and I ran out of money pretty quickly. So I started thinking, you know, what can I do with this idea for a pylon, this technology? Maybe I can call a company out of Wakeboard Magazine someone from California, someone down south. Maybe they'll buy that technology and license it. Maybe I could sell their product in Canada. That'd be kind of cool. I'll take their product and sell it, maybe get some royalties. So I called up some companies. Some of them you might have heard of. Tom Helwig answered the phone. Does anybody know Tom out there? He's the owner of Skylon, or formerly ECI. And he was cranking out barefoot booms and pylons. He had a Malibu dealership, and he said, get on a plane and come to California. I want to see this crazy pylon that you built. So I did. I got on an airplane and flew to California and landed, and it was an incredible moment. I got off the airplane, and Tom had a truck ready to go to Canyon Lake. He had Ricky G ready to ride in Canyon Lake and test out the product. I'd never seen a professional wakeboarder in person. You know, it was just incredible. So we went to his office and seen him building pylons. He was cranking out product. He was doing over 1,000 units that summer, and mostly barefoot booms and product. Here's an interesting one. He had 2 towers in the parking lot on boats, and he said to me, I don't know why anybody would want one of these towers on a boat. It takes away from the style. Don't you think it looks brutal? And I said, I don't know. I mean, first time I'd see a tower in person. Little did we know, hey? Anyway, he convinced me to stay another week and come to Boardstock with him. He wanted me to come to work in California and be part of his team because there was really no money in royalties. They weren't selling enough product to live off of. So he said, you know, maybe we could work out a deal where you come work with me. We went to Lake Shasta. Now, Boardstock, 25 years ago, I don't know if any of you were there. I was. It's a life-changing experience as well, isn't it? 400 boats lined up side by side, 400 houseboats lined up side by side, professional athletes running up and down the shorelines, women saying hello with their bikinis. It was incredible. Motorcycle blenders strapped to the back of boats. I decided in that moment in time that I was going to make a living in this industry or die trying. Would anybody agree? Anyway, I had to come home. I had employee number 1 at home, Richard, who we started with, and I had to refine my pylon design. I designed an extended pylon and brought it out, started going door to door to dealers in Western Canada and seeing if we could sell some of these things. I had a little bag, and I would roll into the dealership and shake hands. If you can imagine, some of those dealers up north, we've got some of them today here, Next Generation over there, Wizard Lake Marine. We grew up 6 hours north of Montana, Wizard Lake. Ron and Gord's dad, Don, was one of my first dealers up there buying extended pylons for direct drives. We really appreciate that. And little do you know, if you know Ron and Gord, they're here today. They were some of our first athletes behind the boat, and I can tell you we paid them really well back then. Brad Buskus is always here already. He's here today as well from that group. He was one of our professional athletes. So that's going back a long time. We had a great time. First sales trips were done sleeping in campsites all the way to Vancouver because I couldn't afford hotel rooms. It was a lot of fun. My garage was the workshop, the fab shop, and the office. Here's one of the pylons in one of their boats. The next thing I learned really quickly, I sold 100 pylons really fast, extended pylons. Everybody wanted one. What did I find out? Even living in my garage, there wasn't enough margin to keep the lights on. So the next step, I moved into the garage. I rented out the entire house and moved into the garage. Couldn't figure out how to keep the lights on, but Surf Expo was rolling around again, and I was excited to go. Uh-oh, who's in my doorway? Guy Oswell. Now I'm living in my garage after year 1. I'm working, I got some pylons on the bench. It's also my bedroom in the middle of winter. Okay? So I look up and here's Guy. Now Guy Oswell, this is my dad. He's a lot like Crocodile Dundee. Have you ever seen that movie? Only Guy's from the north. He's a lot tougher and a little bit meaner. Okay? That sums up Guy. Now Guy had 3 hobbies when I was growing up, and all 3 of them were work. Okay? So there was no boats. There was no boats. Now this was their intervention. I'm 21 years old at the time. I'd taken out a second mortgage on my house. I'd ran out of money. I was living in my garage. They're standing in the doorway, and they're looking at me going, "So, what exactly do you think you're doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm building these products for wakeboard boats. People are going to want this product one day." And my dad just shakes his head. He's like, "I don't know if we were thinking straight. You're a few months away from being a journeyman electrician. You could go back to work and have a great career. You're making phenomenal money. You bought your own house at 19. You had a future. And now you're throwing it all away for boats." He just shakes his head and looks at me. So I responded like every 21-year-old does. I looked at Guy and I said, "I've got it all under control, Dad. I've got it all figured out. This is going to be big one day. Don't you worry about me. I'm good. I've got noodles. I got a good setup here. Just don't." He looks at me and says, "Yeah, okay. Just so you know, we tried to stop you. This is stupid." And Guy leaves. Well, the truth was, I didn't have it figured out, did I? I didn't have anything figured out at that point in time. But I had a passion for the industry, and I had a passion for being on the water, and I knew I didn't want to quit. I wanted to be here. So Surf Expo had rolled around one more time, and it was time to head down there. And I had a strategy. I thought, maybe I could license this technology or find a partnership with one of these bigger companies. And I met Malibu's first tower company at that Surf Expo. It was T3 Sports. Okay? This gentleman was building towers for Malibu, Fine Line, MB, and he invited me to come back to California. Now, employee number one was still filling pylon orders at the time back at home, and I had run out of money, so I thought, it can't hurt to go work in California for a year. I'll give him 1 year of my life. If it works out, I'll stay a little longer, and if it doesn't, it'll be a great experience. So I went to California and took a job with him. Now, I moved to California, and at that moment in time, in the year 2000, it was in the peak of the dot-com boom. Everybody wanted to buy a boat. Money was flying around. Everybody was going to Dom Pedro on the weekends, camping out. Everybody wanted a tower. Everybody wanted a boat. And the energy was just electric in that moment. I got down there. I was supposed to help out with sales and marketing. That was the official title. Shit, he had orders coming in left and right. So he stuck me in the front office, and all I was doing was hiring, firing, scheduling, ordering material, trying to deal with chaos, angry customers, figure out what was going on. We had CNC machining, welding, fabrication, all in-house, and we had a paint shop next door. And I was running the whole front end, and he was a machinist by trade. So this gentleman was a brilliant machinist. Jim Jones could think of an idea. He had a vision for a part or a product. He could go and do the CAD in 30 minutes. He could go to the machine and build the parts and fabricate it, and he did not compromise on quality. I learned that if you have a vision for product and you're uncompromising on quality, people are going to want it. I seen people, when I got the schedule figured out down there, we were 3.5 months behind on filling these orders for people, and he'd taken deposits from them. They were upset, but no one wanted to cancel. The product was the best product you could buy at the time, and no one wanted to cancel. I learned a lot of things from Jim. Now, there was a few issues with the business model, okay? His first issue was that we were custom designing every tower for every boat that wanted a tower. So we're taking measurements for width and deck angles. You could never get ahead on your orders because you were always building custom for every single boat. There was no way to repeat. There was no repeatability. The second issue, everybody wanted products, so the growth almost crippled us. We didn't have enough money to buy the raw material and hire people fast enough. There was never enough cash flow. It was a huge eye-opener for me, understanding how much capital it takes to run a business. It was absolutely shocking. This is where the idea for the first universal tower to fit all boats came. I finished up my year with Jim and came back home, but I had an idea for a universal tower that would fit all boats, something that we could stock, scalability, something dealers could inventory. I'd also designed something called a swiveling board rack. I was watching kids trying to load boards on the outside of towers and little kids slipping in deep boats. And I thought swiveling board racks would be kind of neat. Let's do that too. Maybe we'll make them quick release. So I came home from California. Employee number 1 was still filling orders. Back home, old Richard, I think he might have filled 10 pylon orders that winter, kept the lights on. Not enough, no. And I had big plans to bring out the first Universal Tower. We stopped in on the way home from California, and I hit Canada's largest boat builder, Campion Marine, and I convinced them to make that Universal pylon, the extended pylon, a factory option in their boat. I also told the owner, I said, listen, by next year I'm going to have a tower product as well. And he said, what is that? I have no interest in tower product. And I said, okay, one day you will. One day you will. My next move getting back home was to secure financing and learn about financial management. I'd seen a lot of stuff with Jim's business, and I just knew I needed to know more. I was reading business books, but the learning curve was too slow. So I gave 5% of Roswell to 2 retired consultants. One was the vice president of the First Bank of Canada, retired. The other one had worked with IBM for 30 years. And I paid them to teach me financial management. Learned about EBITDA and building a forecast, modeling cash flows. So that was the next move. The first swiveling board racks were born. By 2002, we were ready to promote the Area 51 tower, the first Universal tower in the industry with swiveling board racks. But we didn't stop there. I had an idea to start integrating speaker systems inside of the tower. Integrated speakers, interior lights, waterproof TVs. Who needs that? Everybody. The answer is everybody, right? This is 20 years ago. The Dream Tower was born, a $15,000 tower back in the year 2002, 2003. Can you believe it? The waterproof TV was functional, okay? Originally, the thought was if you ran a ski school and you were filming kids off the back of the boat, you could put them on the back of the boat, show them the film, put them back in the water. Most people bought it just to be cool and watch football games. I didn't care. First boat show season, we sold 30 towers overnight. I had dealers putting in orders for 50 towers at a time. As soon as I got this done and modeled, it was an incredibly exciting time for us. 2003, with the stuff I learned from Harry and John, I raised a little bit of seed capital, just enough capital to buy materials to fill the orders, and just enough to move us into a shop with our own welding, fabrication, bending. Pretty soon we had 15 employees. Pretty exciting moment. Oh, wait. February. The only process I didn't control was CNC machining. I couldn't afford the CNC machines. So we started with 2 CNC shops in Edmonton, Alberta. One was doing board rack parts and the other was doing tower fittings. This is February. We did all the engineering, given the part drawings, paid a deposit, put in the purchase orders. What could go wrong? I think I had about 120 towers on order that dealers wanted, that customers had, retail sold product. I was just ecstatic. Hired the staff, hired the welders, had the overhead ready to go. April showed up, no parts. May showed up, no machine parts. June showed up, no parts. July showed up, no machine parts. And this is where I learned another lesson. Not every business is created equally, is it? Every business is a reflection of the ownership group down, right? I got into July, and you're not going to believe this, but it's true. 2 machine shops, the first 2 I started with, neither one delivered in the first 4 months. Then I get an invoice for the product about end of July, and we've been phoning every day. We needed these parts. Now we're in the middle of summer. It's a short season up north. Customers are angry. People are canceling orders. Didn't know what to do. I'm going to lose everything before I even get my feet under me. Oh my gosh. Every day was a nightmare. Then what shows up? An invoice from the machine shop that owed me parts. Not the parts, an invoice showed up. He had billed me 25% over my PO amount, even though I'd given a deposit and had purchase orders. I said, what's this? Why would I have an invoice? You know what showed up a week later? A lawsuit. What? He sued me. The owner of that machine shop sued us for full payment of those parts with a 15-day notice. The parts we hadn't received yet. How's that possible? Then we got a phone call to come pick up the parts the day after we got that letter. We picked up the parts. Now, it's middle of August, and we're desperate. We need to fill as many tower orders as we can. We pick up the parts, we bring them back. Beside the point, but parts had tolerance issues, and we couldn't fit them into a tower. So I had to hire a third machine shop to fix them. But back to the lawsuit. Why did he do that? I got a phone call about 30 days later, and the owner of that shop invited me to come over and talk about it. And I said, yeah, that's probably a good idea. I don't know what I'm into here. I'm 23 years old in a lawsuit. This is crazy. He said to me, listen, Robert, I'm going to make your life easy. I'm going to forego this invoice. You don't have to worry about paying it. I said, what? He said, you know what? You don't have to worry about paying it, and I'm going to drop the lawsuit. But I know that you're missing orders. You're late in the season. You're going to have trouble filling those orders and paying this invoice if I don't. But the only way I'm going to drop it is if you give your business to me. Right? I said, what? Are you serious right now? Yeah, they said, listen, you won't have to worry about anything. Stability. I'll start building all these parts. You can have a paycheck. We'll be your contract manufacturer. We'll be the manufacturer, and you'll work in-house, and you'll have a paycheck, and we'll promote your business, and you won't have to worry about cash flow or this lawsuit or anything. Isn't that something? That's a reflection of business. That's a tough lesson for a young guy. In the first 5 years, that happened twice in the first 5 years, if you can imagine. A lot of lessons learned. By the fourth machine shop, by the way, I told him no thanks. In the end, I paid him, but I paid him exactly what we owed him, minus the cost to fix those parts. Right? That's what we paid him. But it took 2 years to get that deal done. The fourth machine shop started delivering parts, and they were the best people in the world, but they were boaters. You know, the owners were water ski guys and boaters, and they were an incredible group. So it was a little bit better. Anyway, that was a fun time. We got ramped up to go back to Surf Expo. Okay? We had to sell some product. We went to Surf Expo. We had a universal tower. We had the Dream Tower. We had mirror arms and swiveling board racks. It was exciting times. I had the first invitation-only booth. Look at that box. We had a bouncer at the door with a velvet rope. I had done open booths at Surf Expo before, and I'd found out that while you're talking to someone kicking tires, trying to get your pricing, probably a competitor, the two people you lined up to come to the show can't talk with you because you're busy. You're getting tied up with tire. You couldn't qualify people. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to do an invitation-only booth. And during the show, I'll do 3 presentations a day for only the OEs and dealers we want to do business with. And that's what we did. I can tell you that Nautique was not on that list, but they showed up. Nautique Boat Company showed up to the booth. They showed up to the bouncer and said, we want to talk with Robert Oswell. Is he in the booth? I said, yeah, I'll talk. I'd love to talk to Nautique. I'd love to. It was their legal team. What? Tower patent? What's that? I said, come on in, let's talk about it. They had a patent on all towers, any tower on a boat, and they wanted a royalty, and I said, sure, let's work it out. Yeah, I believe in intellectual property, and I believe in paying for it. It's what's fair, right? They came in the booth, we worked it out, we had an agreement done, it was easy. We did the deal. But I said, look at all the cool stuff we have. And they went back to their product team, and they told their product team to come down and check out the Roswell booth. And the Nautique product team came down at that Surf Expo, came into our booth, and the greatest relationship in the history of OEM started. Sorry, Trey, it's this relationship. Ah, good times. Good times. The OEM business was born from that moment with towers and bimini tops, and away we go. A quick note on audio, right around the same time, 2005-06, we were starting to put integrated speakers into towers and speaker cans and everything else, and we were buying product that was really coming, all of it was coming out of the automotive industry at the time. We started to have the idea to say, maybe we can redesign the speaker experience. Maybe we can get a better product. We want a speaker that's born from within the marine experience. You know, the marine industry driving for the open air environment. That's where Roswell Marine Audio started. I'm a musician, or somewhat of a musician, playing guitar, piano, drums, box, whatever I can get a hold of, and I love music. And really, that's where that was born. incredible journey through the Roswell Marine Audio experience. In 2007, we designed the first 2-point tower with weightless system and cam latch technology. So we have a patent on any weightless system in a tower. That's gas shock or spring assembly to assist people folding it to take the weight off. We were watching people struggle with 4 points, bolts. Remember those days of bolts and hand knobs? We thought, man, someone's wife has to be able to do this easily. And that's where this design came from. We also integrated spinning speakers, if everybody remembers this, so you could direct the sound anywhere you wanted in the boat. We integrated the Bimini Top system. There was a lot of innovation in this tower. It was a lot of fun. I showed it to my best partner, Nautique Boat Company, and they graciously said, you know, we'd love exclusivity on this. And I said, it'd be my pleasure. So it became the FCT3 back in 2007, 2008. What happened to 08, 09? I'm not even going to get into it. Things went a little sideways, didn't they? We're still here. It was coming out of that time period, 08, 09, I moved my family to Florida. And we opened an office in Florida, the first office dedicated to servicing Nautique Boat Company and the U.S. dealers. What an exciting time. I brought employee number 1 with me. Remember from the first photo, Richard, 25 years later, he's still with me. And our dream was to set up a factory, a facility in Florida where we could eventually vertically integrate all those processes under one roof. We knew that would be our future. If I think back to all the lessons I learned over the years up until that point, now I started looking for mentors, right? After you get kicked down a few times, you start listening to people. It only took 10 years for me. I started looking around for mentors and advisors. And here's one of my favorites you might recognize. Ralph. You know what I learned from Ralph? I learned the value in partnerships. About 15 years ago, I was at this dealer meeting. We were standing in the vendor mall, much like the guys are next door, waiting to talk to dealers. It was completely dead for a couple hours. They were in sessions. And Ralph came in and made his way around the entire room. Now, he didn't just thank you for being there. Ralph came in and engaged. He asked you how you were doing. He asked you how your family was doing. He asked you how your business was doing. He asked you how Nautique was doing. How are we doing for you, right? Because Ralph understood that we were all part of a relationship together, and we're all tied to each other, whether we succeed or fail. And I watched how Ralph did that with everybody, slowly, all around the room. And it was one of those light bulb moments that I took away. And I said, you know, the relationship value, we're all part of the same business cycle. And we need to really remember that instead of thinking of it as a transaction. Thank you to Ralph. As I bring us up to speed here, some of the innovations from Roswell and my team recently. We've got the Triton racks with R-Flex translucent speaker cans, any telescopic tower on a boat, auto-roll Bimini system, telescopic helm systems, and soon a next-generation audio system. We think about where we are now. We've got offices in Florida, Western Canada, Sydney, Australia, and just over 250 employees worldwide. Hard to imagine. Florida is one of my fastest growing offices, currently 175,000 square feet of production in Florida. Love to have everybody over for a tour whenever it suits you. We've got design, engineering, manufacturing. All those systems and processes we wanted to vertically integrate are now in-house here in Florida. What a huge thing that we're excited about. We've invested heavily in our Made in USA programs. Okay, that's all the history you're going to get. There are better stories along the way that I'll tell tonight, late night. My staff put together a little video that we're going to do, and then I'm going to hit a little bit on culture. Here we go.
When I think about being on the water, it's that special moment. It's that feeling. It's this thing and place that you can take yourself to where you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about the stresses in life. It's a place where family and friends get together and have their best moments. It's a place where you can listen to music and create an experience, day or night. People are having a great time. When we see people all over the world or in our backyard using the products and they get that feeling or that experience that makes their life better, they talk about it, you see the excitement, it really is an amazing feeling for the entire team here, and it's what drives us to keep doing it and innovating and building products all the time that take us to another level. When I think about all the people at Roswell and what they mean to me, it really comes down to family. I feel like the people here are what makes Roswell special. They put their fingerprint on it every day, and we really look at our partners and our clients in the industry as a huge part of our family. And we work hard to understand their DNA and understand what they're trying to achieve in the industry and figure out how Roswell can complement them and build this really strong alliance of amazing products together. I mean, really, we wouldn't be here without them. The entire Roswell team has this culture of creativity and innovation, and we're putting out products that make people's lives better. And I've always felt like this is something that's not just me. This is something we're building for each other. And it really comes down to being the reason we do this today.
They did a great job on that video. Thank you, Jerry and Brad. Nice work. Okay, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit and talk a little bit about culture and the way we think about it at Roswell. I know everybody talks about this word. They keep drilling it down like a buzzword, but after 25 years, I finally believe that this single word can lead to success or failure in your business. I believe that companies with great culture have less turnover and more efficiencies, more profit than other companies. And I think I've seen it firsthand in my own business. It's no secret that the Roswell culture is created to attract and retain great people. I want to create a place where they can grow and they want to keep coming back. Now, I've had a lot of different ideas when we went from 2 employees to 12. It was a little bit different. 12 to 25, a little different. 25 to 50. A little different, 50 to 100, 150 and up. It gets to be a little different game. But the one thing that can be consistent is your core values and your culture. Now, currently, if you're not reviewing KPIs as related to these metrics for your culture, you might want to think about starting. KPIs on your culture is measurable. I didn't realize that a long time ago. These are metrics you can look at and measure. I think you can measure the culture of a business by the internal and external feedback on the business. But why should we care? I like to focus internally first. Now, internally, these metrics, here's what we're thinking about. If you've got 2 different departments inside your business, and it starts to feel like there's a little bit of friction, a little miscommunication, like a magnet with 2 opposing forces, you've got personalities going in different directions, then you've got a culture problem. You've got an alignment problem. What's the perception of your work in the world and the community? This is external feedback. What are people saying about the business and your people externally? What's the perception of your team with your customers? That's an external thing you can measure quite easily. If you get people in alignment, the changes are absolutely incredible. I call it the 3X culture rule. Okay? You've never heard of it, I hope, because I just made it up this morning. But here's what the 3X rule means to me. I have witnessed this. If people are in alignment in every department, then their communication is on par. They answer each other's emails. They send out pricing on time. They get a service job done within the 2 hours that they were supposed to. It means they're in alignment. They can move 3 times faster, right? Literally 3 times faster with purpose. They know where they're going. They're working together. Now, when things are out of alignment with your culture, people move like this, right? Easily 3 times slower. Service jobs that should take 2 hours take 5 or 6. Pricing quotes don't go out on time. And you feel this disconnection, this negative energy somewhere in the business. Wow, why is that? The difference in metrics that I've observed is 6 points. 6 points between the low and the high. And that's just an average. It can get worse if you've got someone that's just way off the rails, right? Now, how do we adjust it? If you feel that friction in your business, how do we adjust it? What I like to do is drill down and try and figure out how to get everybody aligned. I think a lot about how keep those people engaged. And then we start tying in core values. So I feel like the only way to align everybody is if you establish core values. You probably talked about them this morning. Now, does everybody in this room know their core values? Hands? Does anybody have core values? Can you stop right now and just think of 2 things that you think of are core values in your business? What are your core values from the top down? It has to come from you, department heads and leaders. Trey, you got yours? Okay. Here's why it's important. The core values, I believe, are the DNA that weaves through the people in your company and ties them to your culture. I'll say it again because it's that important. The core values are the DNA that weaves through the people in the company and ties them to your culture. The fact is, when your business grows to a point where you can't put your finger on every single department and guide it, you can't micromanage it anymore, you've got a service department, a sales department, a marketing department, you've got some subcontractor working on the side. When you can't micromanage everybody and the business grows past your ability to do that, what happens is leaders emerge, strong personalities emerge, and they have their own vision for the business. I've seen this happen in my company, where they've taken a complete department in a different direction and decided that they're going to deal with things a certain way on warranty and service. And then I find out and go, wow, that's absolutely not how we do business. That's not in alignment. And they look back and go, well, you never said to do anything different. So you're right. That's my mistake, right? If left to their own devices, it's no fault of their own, they'll start driving the business in a different direction. If you have 3 of those opposing forces in the business, it starts to tear the company apart. And the thing that results is inefficiencies. Really what happens is just a lot of miscommunication and inefficiencies in the business. Now you can bring them back into alignment with your core values, your mantra, if you will. They have to come from the leadership team, from the top down, and unite everybody under the single banner. Here's some of the ones that Roswell will touch on just really quickly. Number 1 is relentless innovation. We want to keep innovating every touch point in the boat, every product, everything people touch. We want it to be a little bit better every single time. When I think about Nautique, I think about a company that's a market driver. Nautique's not market driven. Innovation will always be at the core of Nautique. Innovation will always be at the core of Roswell. Our goal is to leave a legacy in our industry, build products that benefit people. And we always keep in mind that innovation drives opportunities. Innovation creates sales. People want to buy what's new and innovative. Products and experience that makes people's lives better. That's one of our core values. We just realize, hey, these are things that are people's dream. So the more that we can keep contributing to a good experience, the better. We want to service beyond expectation. This message, this core value, is right on the wall now in my customer service department. It's up high where everybody can read it. It's a clear message. I believe that every service contact point is an opportunity. Every business that's selling a product or service is going to have challenges, but those are moments that can win over a customer for life. I think we all have to admit that complex products are here to stay, and we need to evolve with those expectations. How do we keep doing that? I have something in our service department called the 2-week vacation rule. Anybody else have that? So it doesn't matter what time of year it is, if a service call comes in, I want my team to think about it like it's their 2-week vacation, right? It's that customer's 2-week vacation that they've saved up for 8 months. They've booked a lake house. They spent their last dollar. They invited everybody they knew out to the lake to use that boat, and they've had some sort of issue. And I don't care what time of year it is, I just want that to be the mindset, right? So it's our job to get them on the water as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter if it was their fault and they racked the boat up into the dock or what happened. That's how we want to think about it. Willingness to change. This has been a big one at Roswell over the years. We want to focus on change, not for the sake of change, but for forward movement. This can be a process, a procedure, a way of doing things, a complete building. It can be a lot of things. We tell our teams to be willing to pivot quickly at any moment. We can't assume that what worked yesterday is going to work tomorrow. It's a really important thing. We tell staff from day one in every single department that you need to be willing to be part of change. Give us your feedback, but this entire company will change around you or leave you behind. So if you don't like change, you're not in the right company. We've had people that said, I don't like change. I said, oh, okay. Well, it's changing around you. I don't want to move my desk. I want to keep my desk in that corner, and I don't like change. Well, the desk moved, okay? And eventually, so did the person. We've had people that got on board and were willing to be part of that and were better for it and grew with the company. We had people that went another direction. All right. We're relationship driven. Thanks to Ralph for this one. He was my inspiration. I want every customer to feel like a Paragon owner every time they walk through the door. I think that people are going to seek out a dealership experience that makes them feel good about their purchase, that supports their dream. The only other side with a dream while we're doing this, as part of that relationship, is managing expectations. I think it's important to note that these boats, the boats we build, this isn't the automotive industry. We're not building 1 million pieces a year. Every one of these is handcrafted pieces of artwork built by people. And they've got more technology in them than any car you've ever met. These are incredible pieces of artwork, right? These boats have come so far. And as part of that relationship with our customers, we've got to manage that dream and the expectation. We need to tie the two together more than ever. Okay, when I'm thinking about people, I want people to come to Roswell and stay forever. That's it. Nothing has more value than time. When someone comes into your business and gets their feet under them, starts generating some captured knowledge, after 5 years, they start to be a big asset to the company. But I started thinking about our staff like our customer. From the minute they pull into the parking lot, I think about how can we make their life better? How do they feel when they walk into our building? Do they feel welcome? Do they feel like this is a nice work environment? Do they have all the tools they need to do their job? How do we improve that? We've seen people going off-site for lunches. We've seen people that couldn't afford to bring their own lunch. We put in a fresh food market, a couple coolers that they restock a couple times a week. And I subsidize it. I pay 50% of all the fresh food items. If they order something healthy, they can eat for about $2.50. The return on that investment was exponential. All people seen is that we care about their health and we care about them working with us for a long time, right? What they don't see is that they stayed on site and they didn't go anywhere and no one was ever late getting back on their shift. That's what I see as more productivity and happier people. Big difference. We've done things like start something called the We Are Family Fund. We started a nonprofit so when our employees can contribute off their paychecks, we all contribute a little bit. And if they have a family emergency, a health issue, a medical issue, a car broke down, they don't have to take a payday loan. They can apply to a committee of their peers, and if they get awarded a grant, they don't have to pay it back. Could be $1,000, could be $1,500, but it's their money and it's used for them. Those are little things that we've done that I'm sharing that have been pretty successful. I'm not going to talk too much about marketing because you guys are going to get hit from all different directions. For us, just know that we're out there trying to keep people engaged in the sport and the industry. We sponsor athletes. We invest in the events. We're there to support you wherever we can. We give back as much as possible. Key points when I think about marketing are establishing a clear brand identity in your market and staying true to it. It's a big deal. Don't deviate. You guys sell the highest quality products in the entire universe, right? Handcrafted, hand-built works of art. And that has to come through with every touch point. I think one thing we're all learning to be aware of is the ever-changing technology, right? Now the first handshake is digital. That's crazy. It's crazy to me. So how does the company look from a digital handshake, right? That first interaction to get them into the store. And who can help with that, right? AI is going to play a bigger role all the time. Hate that word, but it's here to stay. It's crazy. I'd suggest hiring consultants or contractors or in-house marketing staff to help navigate this, because it's a big part of the business. We reinvented our website this year, and our online sales went up 300%. Pretty unexpected. Absolutely unexpected. But the biggest thing I'll say is measure your success, the bottom one. Everything you do in a digital world, you can measure now. So we try a campaign for about 30 days, measure it, review it, pivot. Measure it, review it, pivot. And that was very, very effective. And it's incredible the metrics you can pull on things now. All right, we're getting to the end here. A lot of heavy lifting. I think about this moment in the marine industry as a defining moment. The next 12 to 24 months are going to be a defining moment in your business. And how you respond to it is going to be on you. The biggest and most painful challenges are the best defining moments in everyone's business. For us, we're going to take the opportunity to look inwards, attack processes and procedures, tighten up things, look for efficiencies, get lean and mean, get ready for the next market cycle. We're doubling down on innovation and product development. The only cutback I'm not making is in R&D, because I know we need to be there to support you in the future. When I think of 9 words that summarize my journey over 25 years, it comes down to this list. Dream. Everybody in here had a dream. We want to keep innovating. It takes vision, especially from you, the leaders in this room. I hope you have passion if you're here with us. You got to inspire your teams, and everybody's got to be in alignment. It's going to take teamwork and perseverance. And in the end of the day, if you don't know how to execute, none of it is going to matter. I'm going to leave you guys with a few thoughts. This is it for me. I don't know if you want me to say them out loud, just a little bit of my own mantra. It's a journey, not a destination. A company is a reflection of the leadership group. Do what you say you're going to do. Execution is everything. There's no value in trying. Are you confident in your vision as leaders? All that matters. Others may not be able to see where you're going. Guy Oswald didn't see where I was going. Give back to the people that want to grow. Embrace captured knowledge. Embrace change, but not for the sake of change. Find synergy with your team. If you're out of alignment, life's going to be hard for everyone. One person can affect your flywheel. Create your culture and align it with vision and purpose. Take ownership in your work and learn to love what you're doing and appreciate the tough days. We don't learn much from the wins. Now, I want you all to know that me and my team are going to be here innovating and working hard to support your business in the future, and we appreciate everything you do for us on the front lines. Thank you.